All right, welcome back to the Copywriters Podcast with your host, the world's greatest copywriting coach, David Garfinkel. David, how you doing today, man?
Nathan, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's the start of a new year as we're recording, and we've got something special lined up for the listeners today.
Yeah, and we're time shifting. I realize it's February as you're listening to this. So our guest today is Roy Furr, a top copywriter and one of the best thinkers about copywriting I know. Roy's been at the top of this game for over a decade. Perhaps he's best known for writing the sales letter for Brian Kurtz's legendary Titans of Direct Response seminar. And he's done many seven-figure promotions for clients, and he's coached, trained, and mentored other copywriters. Glad to have another coach on the show. Roy has also published his daily, think about this, every day, Breakthrough Marketing Secrets newsletter since 2014. And today he's going to tell us about the number one most underrated copywriting skill. I agree with Roy about this skill, and I can't wait to hear what he says about it. But first, let's talk about a highly rated copywriting skill, and that is this: copy is powerful. You're responsible for how you use what you hear in this podcast, and most of the time, common sense is all you need. But if you make offers in highly regulated industries like health, finance, and business opportunity, you may want to get a legal review after you write and before you start using your copy. My larger clients do this all the time. Roy, welcome, and wow, this is wonderful. I've been looking forward to having you on the podcast for a long time. And let's jump right into this. We got so much to cover, so much good stuff. And structured thinking. Structured thinking. You call that the number one most underrated copywriting skill. Let's start there. Tell me about it.
Yeah, well, David, and of course, Nathan, thanks for having me on. I love your podcast. Structured thinking. So this is something that I discovered when doing copy reviews and working with junior writers, even all the way back to like 2011, 2012, when I got called to fill in as an interim copy chief for my client, Casey Research at the time. And I noticed that, as I'm reading through some copy, it's just making sense. It's just this logical flow, right? And it just reads like, okay, this person knows what they're saying. They're going to say first A, then B, then C, and then therefore D, and therefore, buy my stuff, right? But then there's other copy that I read, and it's like first A, then Y, then C, then B, then Q, and pretty soon I'm just kind of lost. And let me admit something. I've written copy like this myself too. So, I'm not criticizing anything that I haven't been worthy of criticism for in the past. But sure, when I work with junior writers, more novice copywriters, so often when this is missing, it just leads to copy that nobody's going to read all the way to the end. And it's really common when we get started as a writer, especially if we're writing anything shorter, to just kind of wing it and write without ever thinking about the structure. But it's like trying to build a body without a skeleton, right? You don't get a body without a skeleton, and you don't get a great piece of copy without great structure.
Yeah, in the fiction writing world, there are plotters with structures, and there are pantsers who do things right from the seat of their pants. Why can't a copywriter just wing it?
Well, I don't know that those fiction writers who write as pantsers end up becoming that great either, unless they already have this going on in their head before they're putting it on paper. The thing is, like a prospect who's confused or bored or just becomes uninterested, they're not going to respond. And so you have to make sure that they're not confused, they're not bored, they're actually interested in what you have to say, or else you're going to end up with less leads, less customers, less sales, less profits, less money, less royalties, less opportunities as a copywriter.
Ooh, that doesn't sound good.
No, like we all want more leads, more customers, more sales, more profits, more money, more royalties, and more opportunities, right? Mm-hmm. And the other thing, like the reason that great fiction writers plot and the reason that great copywriters structure their thinking is it actually helps you write faster. When you wing it, you're going to write slower. You're going to be confused yourself. But if you write faster, you sell more just because you put more tests out there, you put more things in the market. And the other thing is like faster writing has energy. It vibrates. It has like some essence to it that I know that you're familiar with that just it pulls people in.
Yeah. So um, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with what you're saying because I'm a big fan of structure, but let me play the devil's advocate um, because I've often noticed in critiques that I'm doing that where people really screw up is with their headline and their big idea. Isn't that really what it's all about?
Well, you know, if you study swipe files in the way that most people talk about swipe files and headlines and leads, yeah, I mean that's what they're going to tell you. But the reality is like that energy, that vibrance, that whatever it is that makes you vibrate of great copy, even if that's in the headline, in the big idea, if you don't have the structure to actually like back that up and turn that into a sales pitch, that whole great idea that you have can get overdone or underdone. It's like a great recipe, right? A great recipe, you overcook it or undercook it, and it doesn't matter how good the recipe was, right?
Mm-hmm.
So putting all the right stuff in the beginning, it doesn't actually lead to great copy in the end. That headline and the lead, the big idea, like you're making the attention sale with that, right? And you need to have that right. But you still need to keep them interested, like AIDA, right? Attention, interest, desire, action. You need to keep them interested. You need to build their desire. You need to get them to take action. And if you don't get that deep structure right, even the best ideas will lead to inferior copy.
I like what you said about the attention sale. If you don't make that one, the other ones don't matter. But what you're saying is that's not enough. I think that's true. So, all right, we're looking for good structures or bad structures. How do you identify a bad structure, especially if you're new at this?
Yeah, so that can be the tricky part because we're all like in love with our own copy, right? I'm as in love with the copy that I was writing right before we hopped on for this call as I was with the first copy I wrote, and I don't know if it's bad. Honestly, like I hope that it's better. I hope that experience makes it better, but one of the best things that you can do is just get somebody else to look at it. Now, I have sent people your way, David, for coaching,
Mm-hmm.
for copy reviews, and I have been a coach and done copy reviews. And even if you're fairly new and novice, maybe especially if you're fairly new and novice, paying for a copy review from an experienced copywriter or like seriously good copywriting coach like you are, David, it is worth it. I had a young woman from Pakistan who actually paid me before she was making any money off the copy for a copy review. And this is the kind of stuff that we talked about. And it was for a contest, and she won the contest and got the client because of the copy that came out of the copy review. So anyways, pay for a copy review from an experienced copywriter. The other thing that you can do is actually ask for a peer review from peers. But the challenge with that is that you have to ask them the right things. And I actually like, Mark Ford / Michael Masterson's the Copy Logic system. Specifically, they recommend asking people to read your copy, and this could be the mailman. Like Gary Bensavinga was known for just looping in the mailman when he could, as part of the agency that they ran for a while. Just anybody. Is the copy confusing? Mark wherever it's confusing with a C. Mark wherever it's unbelievable with a U. Mark wherever it's boring with a B. And that's going to start to tell you not necessarily what the structure needs to be, but it's going to help you identify spots where it's just not hitting.
Okay, that's good. So let's say we've got a structure that's bad, or in some cases non-existent, or I don't know, kind of like someone threw, I'll use the polite word here, spaghetti against the wall.
Yes.
How do you fix it?
Well, that's the tricky business, right? So the best fix and my best recommendation is to never let it be a problem in the first place. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But really, like, structure it before you write. Make sure that that you know what the structure of the copy needs to be. And the longer the copy is, the more important this is. Make sure you know what the structure needs to be before you actually start writing copy. Great copywriters most often, at least the ones that I know.
And you're going to give us some ideas for structure in a minute, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Alternatively, and this is something that I actually recommend quite often, I'll get a first draft from like a junior writer or somebody that I'm working with on a copy review, whatever. I'll say one of the best things that you could do for this piece of copy is go back and outline what you already wrote. And the reality is, if I'm asking them to do that, they probably can't. And they're going to see like there's 8 ideas in one section and there's no ideas in another section. And then like when you try to create that outline, you have to ask yourself, where does this outline make sense? Because there will be places where it makes sense. Ask yourself, where is the outline itself? Not just the copy, but the outline itself. Where is it confusing? Where is it unbelievable? Where is it boring? What needs to be added? What needs to be taken away? And this whole process of like forcing yourself to outline it after you've written it is a great way to actually figure out, how to fix the structure.
What's the simplest way, say, to get the structure right?
Well, I recommend just outline before you write. Even if it's something as simple as a quick email or like a Facebook ad or something like that, just create a quick outline before you write. I do this often for my daily emails or the videos that I record. I actually outline this entire interview in workflowy first, using the PISA formula that you'll hear about in a minute. And so just grab a pen and paper, grab a mind map, grab an outlining program. I use workflowy. It's like an infinite outlining program where you can zoom in and out on different outlines. Word or a Google Doc, whatever you do, just do it. Like this is something I actually have a copywriting coaching client right now who's writing daily emails and Facebook ads and all sorts of stuff. And one of the first things that I did, like first week of coaching, I said, write an outline of what you want to say in each email before you write it. Like that, it's so simple. But if you just do that, it's going to help a lot.
Well, it's so simple if you've done it. It's like a blank slate. If you haven't, I mean, can you give me some guidance on coming up with my own structure?
Absolutely. So I actually learned from Dan Kennedy in a couple different places, and I learned something similar from Clayton Makepeace too. But I've talked about in one video before about like a sequence of beliefs, right? Like your prospect has a number of beliefs that they have to have and agree with in a certain order in order to make response inevitable. Mm-hmm. And so like in Dan's book, Speak to Sell, he actually talks about his magnetic marketing speech that he gave, and he explained his own outline for what that was and like what each story was doing to create a certain belief that led to the inevitable outcome that the crowd was going to rush to the back of the room and buy his stuff, right? I know, David, you have clients in the financial niche, and I've worked in the financial niche for a decade or so now. And one of the like big, most common types of promos there is like a stock promo, right? Like a single stock promo. We're gonna tease a stock, and this is especially these days relevant for technology, but of course it doesn't have to be just Silicon Valley. But I wrote down just really quickly, what's the sequence of beliefs that as somebody who might want to invest in a stock.
So let's explain the stock promo. If you're selling a newsletter, you'll start out by just talking about one stock and how amazing this opportunity is and how no one else knows, and you'll be ahead of the market, and you can put a penny in and get $1 back or something like that. And then you transition to the newsletter. We have lots of stocks like this in our newsletter, right? That's a stock promo, basically.
Absolutely. And so like the first belief is I have to believe there's this huge new market opportunity, right? Like there's this big opportunity in the market. And then I have to believe this opportunity actually it depends on X new technology. Like the technology is setting up this opportunity. And then I have to believe that actually the voice of the promo knows and understands the company that controls X technology's critical patents or like somehow has control over this technology. And then I have to believe that this company is going to become huge. They're going to become a huge financial success because of this. And then I also have this like doubt that, oh, well, maybe it's not a guarantee. So I have to believe they have a huge competitive advantage that's going to guarantee success. And then I have to believe that not only is this company going to be like a revenue success, but it's going to send their stock price soaring. Then I have to believe, not only is this inevitable, but it's imminent. It's something that's going to happen right away. And then I have to believe that like the voice of this promo actually knows this company's investment case better than anyone, like that they're a trustworthy source of this. And then I have to believe that that they can actually share this company and like a good strategy for investing in it. And then I have to believe that like getting this information through their newsletter, through trying their investment newsletter is the best path to actually being able to profit from this stock. And that was off the top of my head, and I might adjust it a little bit as it's coming out. But this is the type of thinking, like you have to get yourself in your prospect's head and you have to say, what do I have to believe to be true in order for it to be inevitable that I need to respond to this pitch, whatever that is. And that's the example from a stock promo, but you can think about this through all sorts of different promos and promo angles and so on. And you just challenge yourself before you sit down to write, like, what if I'm the ideal prospect, what do I have to believe to be true in order for a response to become inevitable?
I got a sneak peek at your structure there, so I'll just read it again real quickly for people because it went by pretty fast. It's really good. Okay. First, I have to believe there's a huge new market opportunity. Then I have to believe that for this opportunity to work, it requires some new technology. And then I need to believe that the company I'm hearing about controls this technology's critical patents. So they have it all to themselves. Then I have to believe this company will become huge because of this. Then I have to believe that as a result, they have a huge competitive advantage, or to make them huge, they have a huge competitive advantage that guarantees their success over other companies. And then I need to believe this advantage sends the stock price soaring. Then I have to believe that it's inevitable and imminent that they're going to not explode, but get really big. Then I have to believe that the guru knows this company's investment case better than anyone else. And I have to believe the guru is going to tell me what this company is once I sign up for his newsletter. And I have to believe that I'll get other information like this when I try his newsletter. I mean, it may be off the top of your head, but I'd say it's a result of a lot of deliberate practice and internalization. That's a really good structure. Now, do you have any preferred structures?
Yes, absolutely. So there's one that, like, if I zoom out and I teach this as like the most broad structure of any marketing and selling message. Essentially, marketing comes down to, and selling comes down to, you have a problem, I can help you solve it. And so you've probably heard problem, agitate, solve, or problem solve, or problem, agitate, invalidate, solve. And, just like a good marketer, in order to make it proprietary, I had to add my own letter in there.
Of course.
And so I have this formula called PISA, P-A-I-S-A, and that's problem, agitate, invalidate, solve, and ask or take action.
I have a friend who's an Italian copywriter, and he has one called Paisano. No, just kidding.
Oh no, I have competition. So like my favorite structure is in this PISA: problem, agitate, invalidate, solve, and ask or action. So what's the problem our prospect is facing? So number one, we start by speaking to the problem that they're facing. Number two, we have to identify what emotional agitation is that causing. So we actually not just speak to the problem, which is like the outside experience of the problem, the challenge, or the unfulfilled opportunity, right? Like a desire unfulfilled is a problem. So we have problem, and then what emotional agitation is that causing? So what's the internal experience? Why is this frustrating? Why is it something that they want to have solved now versus something that they can put off for longer or just accept? And then what other solutions have they tried and why are they invalid? So in most markets, your product, your offer is not the first thing that people are going to be buying. It's not the first attempt that they're going to make to solve the problem. So you have to look at, what might they try themselves? What other products might they buy? Why is even not taking action on the problem invalid? So you define all of that in your copy. And what you're essentially doing is creating buying criteria for why all those other solutions aren't good enough, but yours is. Yeah. And then you define your unique and superior solution, which is going to, of course, fulfill all those buying criteria. And then your solution being defined as your product or service, you tell them the inevitable action that they need to take to get the solution. So problem, agitate, invalidate, solve, ask, or what action it is. And that's really my first structure that I go to. And in fact, that's the structure of this entire conversation.
That's very good. Do you have anything more comprehensive?
Well, absolutely. So when I first got started as a copywriter, so I got started in 2005. I was writing short form copy and all this stuff for an IT training publisher, but I knew that I wanted to do direct response. And then in 2009, I actually met Clayton and Wendy Makepeace, and this was at the AWAI bootcamp. And at the job fair, Wendy was handing out this outline, and I still have it up on my wall. And I've actually shared it a bunch of times, but I've had it on my wall since 2009. And this is the Clayton Makepeace. He called it the pretty darn good outline. And I'm not going to be able to go through the whole thing. There's 20 different points, including like the offer structure. I pretty much copy every single time, even when I approach it completely different. This is actually available for free on the internet. If you search for Clayton Makepeace copywriting outline, you'll find some of my stuff, and some of Clayton's stuff is still out there. But unfortunately, after he passed, some of it is also just not available anymore. Mm-hmm. But this outline, like it is a 20-point, much more comprehensive structure that really reoriented my head towards this whole structured thinking approach. And I used it, basically, I copied and pasted it into Word documents to write my first long form promos that actually made $1 million for my clients and made me great money too, because I earn royalties. From there, I also realized that so Clayton's was all about it was kind of a big idea type outline, but there's not all big ideas are the same. And so I developed something, and I know that you were on a webinar that I did on this a few years ago about the 3 big idea types. And really, I narrowed down the different types, all the, million different big ideas really fall under 3 categories when they're highly successful. And that's, hey, I understand you have an urgent problem and I can solve it. Or I can introduce to you an opportunity that's 10 times better than what you have right now to get whatever result that you want. Or, and this is common in financial, I have an imminent prediction that's going to create an urgent problem or a 10x opportunity as it comes true. And so I actually created entire outlines around that and put that in my high velocity copywriting program. But what you have to do, if as far as the more comprehensive outlines and templates, you have to look at what is out there as far as the different pitches that are in the marketplace. And so you find you could find a ClickBank, you could find, some financial publisher, whatever. And you say, okay, what are they doing in the beginning? How are they opening their pitch? How are they getting that attention sale? How are they building interest? How are they addressing objections? How are they stimulating this desire for whatever outcome that they're promising? And then how do they introduce the product? How do they structure the offer? Do they talk about price first, or do they talk about the deliverables and benefits first? Where does the guarantee fall? Where do bonuses fall? How is the close structured, and where does that fit in? And the more that you can break down what's being done in promo after promo, and I'll tell you, most really good promos follow very similar structures for all of those elements, then the more you'll have as far as comprehensive outlines or templates to work from. And it's only through that process and through experience that, as you pointed out, off the top of my head, I can rattle off what a single stock promo needs to do.
You put together a basket of goodies in digital form on a special page. Where can listeners go to get that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have this website, breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com, and that's where I publish those daily emails since 2014. There's actually now over 2 million words there, and I've started doing daily videos also. And so there's hundreds of videos now available for copywriters and marketers. And so it's at breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com, but listen carefully, Copywriters Podcast listeners. If you add a /GARF, GARF for Garfinkel, I know that's what I know Carlton called you all the time. So
You're the only person who has correctly identified the origin of it so far. Very good.
Wow. Okay. I guess coming up studying Carlton too, it has more benefits. So breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com/GARF. And it's
lowercase GARF, right?
Yeah. Lowercase GARF, GARF.
Yeah.
Realizing that, perhaps I need to do some redirects for that. But anyways, lowercase GARF will get you there. And so I'll include a link to the high velocity copywriting program, including the make piece outline. I actually got permission from Clayton. I taught it to his people, and he said like he really appreciated getting brand new perspective on it, because like he had created it himself, but he had never heard anybody teach his own stuff to his people. And so I had my whole interpretation of like, it's 20 bullet points, right? But I've used it so much that I have in-depth explanation. But then I got his permission to teach it to my people too. And so in high velocity copywriting, I have outlines and templates for the 3 big idea types, as well as the Make Peace Outline webinar. And that's part of my BTMS Insiders training library. It's like Netflix for copywriting and marketing training. You can take the whole thing for $97 for your first month. And there's over 120 hours of additional training, plus a Facebook group now available just for that $97 a month price. There's a link to that at that /GARF. There's links to my books, The Copywriter's Guide to Getting Paid in the Ultimate Selling Story. There's videos about stuff we've talked about here, like the sequence of beliefs. I have a video where I explain that. I talk about Dan and Clayton in that. Structured thinking, my original video on structured thinking. I have a video on the PISA formula that I included there and how it fits with Eugene Schwartz's market awareness model.
Some of the stuff is free though, right? This isn't all inside your
So those videos, which you'll have to scroll down towards the bottom. The one on sequence of beliefs, that's free. The one on structured thinking, that's free. This one on the PISA formula and how it fits with Eugene Schwartz's market awareness model, I call it the golden key, because it ties in how aware the market is with where you really need to start and focus. Those are free. Plus there's a link to my YouTube channel for hundreds more videos for copywriters and marketers. Plus you can sign up for Breakthrough Marketing Secrets free on that page as well. So there's a ton of free content. There's a little bit of paid content that goes even deeper on this stuff. A lot of good stuff.
Okay, good. We'll put that in the show notes, breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com/GARF.
Yes. All lowercase.
Well, that's good. Wow. A whirlwind tour of structured copywriting thinking in one show. I really appreciate it. You busted your butt to get this done, and our listeners are the beneficiaries. So thank you.
Well, David, I have always appreciated the Copywriters Podcast. I know that you have a lot of great guests on, and I am honored to add my name to that list. And I appreciate you as always. So thank you.
Sure. Well, Nathan, unless you got a question, or even if you don't.
I just want to say thank you, Roy, for coming on. A fire hose of information. I'm going to have to go back and listen to it because I've been doing this for about 10 years and you brought up so many things that I had never even thought about. So I'm going to have to go back and listen to this episode again. I recommend the listeners go back and check it out again. And one more time, what's the website where people can check out the GARF link that you have for them?
Yes, thank you, Nathan. It's breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com. And that's all one word, no spaces, no hyphens, no anything. breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com/GARF, GARF.
Awesome. Thank you. David, did you have anything else before we're out of here?
Yeah, Nathan. I mean, we really do have the best guests, don't we?
I attribute that to you and all of your connections, but yeah, they definitely make the show sometimes.
All right. I'll take the attribution.
Awesome. Until next time, if you want to get more of your Copywriters Podcast fix, head on over to copywriterspodcast.com and we will catch you later.
Catch you later.